Vin, how do I deal with someone who's being dismissive and an over-talker? I'll share with you 3 steps. The first step would be to acknowledge the person. One of the main reasons why sometimes people over-talk is because they feel they're not being heard. And if the person feels they're not being heard, they're going to compensate by talking a lot. So I would first of all acknowledge their feelings. And you could say something along the lines of, hey, I hear what you're saying and I understand you're frustrated. I can see how much this bothers you and I can empathize with that. All of a sudden, if they're trying to express frustration and you say that, they're going, oh, thank goodness someone understands me. And sometimes that's what people are seeking. And then step 2, this would be preventative measures to kind of reveal to the dismissive person that you're being a little bit rude. So step 2, I would set clear boundaries. And what I mean by setting clear boundaries is I would say something like, Vin, I understand your point. I can see where you're coming from. I can hear where you're coming from. I would also like to share my point of view and then share your point of view. It's important to not be afraid to call out this behavior and ask for what you want and set the boundaries. So I think that's a really important second step. And step 3, once you've done that and they paused and they listened to you, I think it's really important to positively reinforce their good behavior. So if after that they let me share my thoughts and I shared my thoughts, I'd say, and could I just say as well, Vin, thank you so much for giving me space and holding space for me to share my perspective. It makes me feel valued. And that's great because now you're positively reinforcing that. You're helping that person on their journey. I think it's really sad when people go through life and they exhibit these selfish behaviors and they keep doing it and no one's told them. It really just means that no one cared about them enough to sit them down to say, hey, I love you, but there are times where you're a bit of a hog and you just don't let anybody else talk. And I'm saying this with love. I'm saying this because I freaking love you and I care about you. And I'm just seeing you destroy a lot of your relationships because you don't give people space to be able to share their thoughts. I've got a lot of people in my life that love me, I guess, because there are a lot of people in my life that told me that when I started exhibiting those behaviors. And I'm very grateful for them. But in the case that you're around someone who doesn't get that, it may mean that they're in an environment where no one cared enough to tell them. And I think that's when we can have a lot of empathy for the person and we can be more compassionate. And that's how I would deal with it. So step 1, acknowledge their feelings. Step 2, set clear boundaries. And step 3, reward the positive behavior where it's present.